Okay,
All right, we're on.
we're in the green. Hello, welcome to episode 3 of the Killers of the Past podcast, where we will study different dictators of the past and apply for modern circumstances. I'm the host, Heng Zizu, and I'm with my co-host, Marvin Hawkins. So, can you tell me more about who we're looking at today?
Sure.
Mr. Hawkins?
We're looking this person that we're looking at is probably the most interesting and even, believe it or not, the most ruthless of all of the killers of the past in the last 80 plus years, and that's Joseph Stalin, who was the leader of Russia. Or I should say at that time the Soviet Union.
Most definitely, and in fact, Stalin is not his real name. It's It's a name made up during his regime, which means "man of steel". His real name was Joseph Vissarionovich Jugalashvili, and he's not even Russian himself. He's Georgian.
Yes,
Yeah,
you did very good in that pronunciation there. Better you than me right now.
I try.
But yeah, a little background on him is that well, first he became before before any dictators came into Russia, Russia was ruled by czars. They've been ruled by czars for a few hundred or hundreds of years. Okay, um, in by World War One, Tsar Nicholas Tsar Nicholas II was the monarch of Russia, and at that time, very few people controlled the government. It was the czars and a few of his rich friends had complete control of the government, and the people, for the most part, were poor. So after war after World War or just after World War One, the czar was warned and say, "Hey, listen, you have to loosen up the controls on the poor people because you're losing support." And all governments have to realize that it comes down to the people that decide who rules or not.
Definitely, the Russian Empire transitioned to a more of a democracy in 1917 with the February Revolution. However, the main problem with that was it still kept Russia in the war against the Central Powers, and the people were still starving, which led to the October Revolution that led to the Bolsheviks, which are the Communist Workers' Party, which Joseph Jugalish was part of, to start a violent revolution against the Democrats, Republicans, whites, and Tsar loyalists in the Russian Civil War that ensued until 1922.
Right.
Um, yes,
And before that, and even before that particular thing that you mentioned, which is correct, um, Nikolai Lenin was the leader, became the leader of Russia after the revolution, and it was Stalin was in the background. So while they was having the revolution, he was sitting in the back, just waiting, I guess, pretty much for his rise. But Stalin was considered a very, very sneaky and ambitious person. As crazy as it sounds, when he was as a young man coming up, he was in the he was studying to become a priest.
yes, he was in seminary school,
Yes,
but then he received some leftist teachings from Marx and
yes,
changed
and they
paths. And
kept,
funny enough, during his early years of as in the revolution, before 1917, uh, he was struggling in the Bolsheviks party, and at some point he was caught by the authorities uh, in the Tsar government, and he was deported to Siberia for a few years before the 1917 revolution.
yes,
Yeah.
and then and then Lenin after Lenin gave him some power, made him like basically what we governor over a very large group of Russian population. He had control over 100 million people at one time in the beginning. Okay, but even after that time, when he has some power, and he loves power. So now after that point, he decides that hey, he's going to try to get as many people to as many allies as he can to try to take over. And Lenin know that. So in 1924, I believe, Lenin died. But before he died, he was going to remove Stalin from power because he couldn't trust him.
Yep. Yeah.
And see that's a very significant um statement at that time, because look at it from all the people that we've been studying. It's always been one thing that could have stopped them from reaching their ultimate power. And always always one. And he got there.
He got there. Lenin died. Yeah.
Yeah. If had Lenin lived, he would have shut Stalin down. Now there are some people, it hasn't been substantiated. There are people that are saying that Lenin died mysteriously, and he might have been poisoned. Yeah,
Maybe. Yeah. Just maybe.
maybe.
Stalin
But we don't.
have connections because he was appointed general secretary, which meant he was in the position to curry favors with other people in the party by giving them positions.
Right.
So he expanded his circle and slowly rose to power gradually in the shadows.
All right. So now here now so now all right, Stalin's now in power. Okay. So now because now all right, so now here's here's the thing with how things are in Europe. So now you have the rise of Hitler, because there's always been animosity between the Germans and the Russians. There's the rise of Hitler. Mussolini is out there. Japan and Russia had a war back in 1905. Um, that the Japanese. So you have a lot of bad actors that's out there. Hey, you know what? Kind of similar to today's time, but that's for another. That's for another um a, for another lecture. But in any case, I'm just amazed that no matter what time period you pick, there's always somebody out there or somebody that wants to take over the world. So
Yeah.
always. Now he's in power, and then he trying to get more power. So how would you describe his? How do you think you would describe personality at this point?
The when he took power,
Yes.
like the so before Stalin like became the official like de facto ruler, he was a very charming man. He was very kind on the outside. He knew how to get on the good side of people, form a kind of deep one-on-one camaraderie relationships with people that's in the position of power in the
Yeah.
government. So people liked him. People liked him.
Yeah. People
He was
like,
just
and he like, and in the beginning, even Lenin liked him because he raised money for the Bolshevik, and he did it by robbing. Robbing, one robber. He robbed banks
yeah,
anywhere he kidnapped anywhere, any possible to do to raise money. So that's popular then. So now the other thing that makes him the same as the other dictators, that his ego was very fragile. See,
yeah,
it's this old saying, absolute power corrupts. So he started a lot of when he thought people were coming for him, or his enemies were trying to take his power, then he would have them bless it. He would have them. So he started many what they call purges, in which he
Yes.
just arbitrarily had people shot.
Yes. Stalin, he launched the Great Purge in 1936 as his fragile ego and political assassinations and eliminations of rival continued. So grew his paranoia, which led to him purging over 1 million party members, including very key army officials and generals that weakened the integrity of the Soviet high command, which led to massive losses during the Second World War. But he incited great terror among the people of the Soviet Union, and in addition, deported any political dissidents to gulags, which are concentration camps he set up in Siberia, meant to do menial work for the prisoners to rot, inspired by his own time in Siberia when he was younger. And he tried to industrialize the Soviet Union. However, as like many communist economic reforms, this led to failure of allocation of grains, which led to many starvations, especially in Ukraine, which led to the halal model, which led to millions starved to death.
Yes, that's very true. Amazing how you're mentioning it, because the fact that these dictators, you want to industrialize your country. I get that. But why are you messing with the farm? That's the thing. You need to leave those people alone so your people can eat. But we do realize that starvation is another way of controlling people as well.
Yep.
All right. So yes, you mentioned that. Other thing too, at this time period, okay, you said 1936. So we're at
Yes.
the time of our other, or one of the people we'll be doing much later with him in a couple of parts, and that would be Adolf Hitler. And in the beginning, he didn't like Hitler,
No.
but he decided to have an agreement with Hitler, in terms of like he knew Hitler wanted to attack him, so he signed a treaty with him, basically an agreement whereby if you don't attack me, I won't attack you. But the other problem that he had, and going back to when you had the problem with the with the famine that he caused millions of people in this country to die, um, he had to he solved some of that by getting food from the United States, which he didn't want to do because he really wasn't a fan of the United States either. I mean,
Yep.
obviously, communist.
Yeah. Ideological differences. Let's just put it that way.
And in their agreement, in the 1939 agreement, um, they wanted to. Well, he knew that he needed buffers between Germany and Russia, and the country that provided that buffer was Poland. So they decided to invade it from. They invaded Poland from the west, Germany. So that would give, basically, it was to buy him time because he knew that the Germans were going to come, except that he didn't expect it when they did.
Yes. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact was the official name of this agreement, named after the two diplomats, Molotov from the Soviet Union and Ribbentrop from Germany, and yeah, they agreed to split Eastern Europe in half, along the lines of Poland, and this allowed time for Stalin to consolidate power and take various other minor states like Eastern Poland, the Baltics. Oh yeah, we got to talk about the Winter War, Bessarabia from Romania, and at one point he wanted to invade Finland, which is a country in Northern Europe that used to belong to part of the Russian Empire, but it became independent. during that time. That ended badly because the purge that Stalin did led to the army being very inefficient, and the Finnish were very conditioned to fighting in the winter. And and this led to like about approximately like 1.5 million dead Soviet soldiers just in one winter. This greatly fragile Stalin's ego and showed that the Soviet Union wasn't as tough as it seems, which led to Hitler attacking the Soviet Union in the summer of 1941.
Yes,
Yes.
and it was Hitler. In terms of Hitler, it was his. It was the beginning of the end for him when he invaded Russia, because Russia has been invaded many, and everybody that invaded Russia failed it. I mean, go, going back to the 1200s, um, when um, when different kings have tried to invade Russia, and they keep running up into a general they can't defeat, and that's General Jack and General February, because the Russian is as brutal as it gets. Rules it so, but that's one point there. Also, um, let me see. Hold on, get my thought. Also, the pact that he made with her bought him time. So the fact that you mentioned about the generals, you can't be effective. You're only as effective as your soldiers, and his purges killed a lot of his generals. So when the wars, when the Germans are coming through, they had half of Russia within the first 6 months. So how are you in the so who who's leading your troops? So that should be a lesson for all these other dictators of the present and future. You need competent leadership to have if you're going to run a campaign of destruction, you need competent soldiers.
In fact, personal anecdote when Hitler declared war on the Soviet Union on June 22nd, 1941, Stalin was so surprised and he's so afraid that he didn't left his office for like 3 days because
Yes,
he was so scared.
yes, he was in shock. He knew Hitler was coming. He just didn't expect it to be so soon. Because Hitler decided, hey, I want to partner with Russia. I want to defeat them. So yes, that shocked them. And then now on top of that, you don't have any soldiers. Matter of fact, he purged his soldiers. He purged um his own guard, because they knew anybody who knew anything about him and what he did, he had them shot.
Yep.
So that just shows you the depth of his ego. It was that fragile. All right. So he's now in a major battle with Germany. They're about 20 yards away from Moscow. They got
Yep.
they have Stalingrad surrounded. And then here comes the winter and everything shuts down. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Everything shuts down. And when it shuts down, guess what? Very good map there you got. And when everything shut down, guess what happened?
People starve.
Yes, but that gave Stalin some time, and he got aid. He got aid from the United States.
Yep.
He he got weapons. He's got tanks. So now he's building up his war machine for a counterattack. And the other
Mhm.
thing that Russia is, people don't realize how big Russia is, and they have a ton of soldiers. And when
Soldiers
people,
and
yeah, when
they
people's
have time.
at the wall, you're gonna fight when it's fight, and they did,
Yeah.
and they started. Hitler figured, oh well, we'll wait till the winter, and then we'll get them. Stalin said, we coming for you right now. Why, it's our advantage. A warm day in Russia is 0 degrees. Minus 30 is the norm. So basically they're used to it and they're ready. The Germans have any type of equipment that can help them survive the winter, because that's Hitler was like, hey, you're a soldier out there and you do the best, and soldiers need to be. That was like if you're a track runner and I tell you you're not getting spikes, how are you gonna run? You're gonna run barefoot? No, it's not gonna work. So yes, so Stalin counterattacked, and he pushed the Russian. Not the Russian, my fault. He pushed back.
Yeah, that's correct. He issued Order 223, which is no step back, and oftentimes this was taken very literally, and this led to the unnecessary deaths of many soldiers. And in fact, because the Soviet Union is a party state, um, they have incorporated revolutionary corps in each army unit, known as the NK, the commissars, which are which are soldiers and units that are responsible for enforcing the ideological loyalty of a specific army group, not necessarily how efficient it is. So there were several instances where a soldier was forced to march to their death instead of choosing to surrender um, due to Stalin's order. So there was a lot of inhumane practices.
Yes, and it's good that you mentioned that, 'cause people don't realize how bad war is.
Yeah.
War is not obviously it's not the best way at all of solving problems or getting what you want. It's all about you have what I want, and instead of negotiating it, country, you don't give it to me, so I'm going to take it. That's pretty much what it comes down. You know, there are a lot of songs in regards to war, and it's the same like the famous song from the "What is it good for?" Absolutely nothing, because people die unnecessarily, and most times it's or that die in the battles as opposed to the soldiers themselves. So the general that was responsible for Russia's the war, the commander was General Zhukov. Zhukov Zhukov Stalin saved Stalin's country. He saved his dictatorship, and that was a good thing. But how Stalin repaid him was not, because luckily he let Zhukov stay alive, but he basically demoted after he saved them.
Never outshine your master. And Stalin also had his cult of personality in place, so he needed to make sure that the people stay loyal to him specifically to ensure total control.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's all right. So he wins World War II. He he wins World War II. He's the man. He's got
Yeah.
he's got the matter of fact, President Roosevelt before he died actually liked Stalin. As crazy it sounds, but he believed Stalin was a good man. He would he would lead the countries that he took over or had troops in to democracy. All right, that's what he believed anyway. But I think he should have actually have known better. Churchill,
Yeah.
Winston Churchill, was the leader of who was the prime minister of England, knew who Stalin was. He knew he couldn't be trusted, and that's actually how and that's actually how it turned out in the long run. So Stalin winds up with about a third of Europe.
Yeah.
All right. So now after no, so later on, all right. So he's like he won. He's the man. Can't tell him anything. Unfortunately, his ego decides that there are people that want my power, and he was getting ready to start another purge. All
Yeah.
right. So now I think we're to March of 1953, and nobody hears from him. He's in his office because he's the kind of person you want to
No,
just
definitely not.
yeah, not at
Not
all.
my business.
So little do we know that he had a stroke. He's laying on the floor.
Cerebral hemorrhage.
Yes,
Yes.
and it was a cleaning woman that found him.
Yes.
Cleaning woman that found him, and he's lying in his own urine for days.
Nobody there to disturb him for
Um,
days. He also purged the best doctors, so he couldn't get the best care. So he was in a vegetative state for the last few days because the doctors were just purged. Yeah.
yeah, so that should be a lesson for this should be a great lesson for future dictators. It only ends up one way.
Yeah.
And despite all the and think about all the ways in which he killed people, care about anybody. See, that was the reason. That was the other thing as well. He looked at his people like how we look at chickens.
He quite the psychopath. He
Yes,
even tortured his closest friends by having nights where he would drink with them, except he would be actually drinking water, but he would be doing this drinking game with everyone in the hopes that he could confess any like counter-revolutionary or betrayals, or he would force a confession just for the kick of it. So he was quite the psychopath.
yes.
Yeah.
It, he was married. He had a young wife at one point,
Yes,
and he died. Well, he says suicide. Most people believe that he had her shot if he didn't do it himself. So he,
she died young. Yeah, I believe there was a quote from him which said, "All of my humanity left when my wife died."
yes,
Yeah, it's true.
yeah, that's very true. And he was just he was just uh, one of the I'd say one of the most dictators at that time period. If you think about it, if you take if you take Hitler, take Mussolini, all those guys had one thing in common: they ain't care about
No,
anybody.
no,
It's what they wanted. Absolute power corrupted. Absolutely. You get oh yeah, I forgot. Don't I forget Chairman Mao. The bullet determines your power.
yeah. Power comes out of the barrel of a gun.
Yes, there you
Yeah,
and I tell you, and it's that's why voting also important too. Like in the words of Malcolm X, um, it's a ballot box or bullet. You don't you don't you don't vote, then you're gonna have to go to the bullet. There's no other way around it. So while you have a democracy and you can vote, you should vote because we don't want the other way too. And these leaders have to recognize too, the leaders of the past. Um, if Tsar Nicholas had just paid attention to what his people were telling him, hey, you can't have a country where 1% of your people are rich and 99% are poor. They're going to, who wants to live like that?
Yeah.
Scratch for a living,
Yeah.
and you have some intelligence as well. No, the people are gonna revolt.
Yeah.
Like President told the billionaires back when he was doing the New Deal. Either you start to make things more fair, or you're gonna deal with people with the pitchforks and the torches that are right behind them. All of a sudden, things got to be fair. So
Yeah.
this man right here, good lesson why,
Definitely.
yeah, why you need the people. The people will put you in power, and the people will take you out.
Yeah. It's called a revolution because a revolution ends with another revolution or
Yes,
counter revolution, whatever. So, yeah,
yes. Hey, it's been great.
it's been good. Thank you for your wisdom.
Yeah, and thank you for all your youthful knowledge. It's amazing how we have the age. We have this a very large age gap, but history is history.
Multi-generation. It's
We can't change what's happened in the past. It's right there. You go by the facts.
right. Yeah.
Okay, host.
Yeah. All right. Have a good evening. I'll see
All
you
right.
later.
Okay.
All right.
We'll tell you who the next person is coming up
Sounds good.
within.
All right.
All right.
Great.
Have a good night. Thanks for everybody that's watching.
Thank you.